So welcome back to our second part of this podcast. And now we're going to go back to like the basics of what this podcast is all about. And it's about people. And in this case, that person is Jeff. And we're going to talk about his passion and the purpose. And we're going to go diving into it and discover exactly how this all comes together. So, Jeff.
Sure.
Your passion. So what is your passion? What are you passionate about? What are you excited about?
Such a big question.
It is. I know.
Such a big question.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but
Well, that's why we're here.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. So
it's coming from what we talked about before in the first part.
Right. Okay. So there are things in life that I'm passionate about that I find fun, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about purpose.
Right.
Right.
Like your passion.
So
and
I think
your purpose.
I think for me it feels more right to say purpose than passion.
Mm-hmm.
Because what am I passionate about? I'm passionate about dancing because it makes me feel so great.
Mm-hmm.
I love dancing. I feel super alive when I'm dancing. I'm passionate about listening to great music and exercising because it makes me feel really good. But I think what we want to explore together is what feels more like purpose for me.
Okay.
And I think my purpose is always something that I'm trying to get more and more clarity on.
Okay.
In fact, I'm always asking for my soul to help me know my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get clarity on what my purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like my purpose right now is to live my life as much as I can from a place where I feel like I'm contributing to the evolution of life. In the sense that the more that I can be present to who I know myself to be most deeply and honor that and speak with a voice from that place, the more that I'm allowing myself to be an instrument or a vehicle for life to live itself through me. And in that, there's a tremendous privilege. And through that, there's what I feel is grace. And so I think that's my purpose, is to ride that sense of deep knowing as much as I can, and knowing that when I'm doing that in my own life, it allows me to be most fully who I am, but it also, I'm becoming aware, it also resonates with the other beings around me.
Right.
So when I'm living from that place, or when you're living from that place, it resonates with that deep part of any other beings that we're with, and something awakens.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're resonating together.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're raising our vibration together.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're raising our frequency together.
Mm-hmm.
And we're helping to be more fluid instruments for life to be conscious through our living it.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense. So my purpose is to participate in that as fully and deeply and as much as I can, and create spaces where I can invite others to do the same,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where the magic happens. That's where we feel alive.
Yeah.
So that feels like my purpose.
Yeah.
To open space for that to happen.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say after that, because that's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could ask you, that's really, really beautiful, by the way.
Don't thank.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you, but don't thank.
No, it's,
I'm just grateful to even have. I'm grateful to have even a sense that that's possible.
mm-hmm. And so, that feeling that you're feeling right now, that you're talking about, where, how can I say this? Like, what activities? Because, like, on just a very like basic level, like, what activities do you do, or do you partake in, or do you invite people to experience that purpose? Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as you ask the question, I see it sort of unfolding in different. I see it unfolding in different on different levels or in different
we're
stages.
just like discovering things together.
Yeah. So it's, for me, it begins with in my own life as a personal, a commitment to a personal daily practice of things that allow me to inhabit that space, so that I can willingly connect with that part of who I am. So it becomes a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can continuously rewire myself to more easily get there when I remember to get there, when I remember that it's there.
Right.
When I remember that it's there. And the more that I remember that it's there, the more I remember.
Right.
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 So, and of course, what you're asking is, well, how does that translate into my actual living in the world?
Yes.
Right. It translates to this,
mm-hmm.
to being able to sit here with you and speak from a deep sense of truth within
mm-hmm.
myself,
mm-hmm.
and honoring that,
mm-hmm.
without letting anything ego-driven get in the way,
mm-hmm.
or any shame or any sense of fear, but honoring the truth that wants to come through and that you've created a space for with us here.
Mm-hmm.
And really practicing doing that in my relationships,
mm-hmm.
in the world, with the people in my family, with the people who I love, and with the strangers on the street who I also love and who I practice loving.
Mm-hmm.
And the next sort of iteration of that is to actually create physical spaces where people are aware that it's possible to do that here,
mm-hmm.
and invite them in. So one of the spaces is in my coaching practice.
Mm-hmm.
So my coaching practice. Here's a place for a plug. Inside Out Life Coach. .ca.
There you go. But it's true. Like, you have to, not have to. No, let me put this another way. You have all this inside of you, and so part of your purpose by connecting with other people is giving them the occasion and the opportunity to go to where you go to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And again, I don't want to use the word lead, but like open up that space for them. For
them to find that space within themselves.
Right. So your part of that purpose is like your coaching practice
mm-hmm.
has a purpose.
Yes.
So it has a purpose to you and it has a purpose to other people.
Yes.
So that's one.
Yeah.
purpose.
Right. And I'll just say that because the question that comes up is when you're coaching, what are you coaching for? Because there's all kinds of, it's such a widely used term.
Mm-hmm.
There's business coaching and there's personal and there's life coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost feel like I don't want to put it in any kind of category anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like accompaniment, life accompaniment. And sometimes it always lends itself to the spiritual, but we don't always use words that directly.
Right.
But the coaching is always about creating a space where people can connect deeply with who they truly are and explore their own participation in life from that place and move through life from there in clarity. So that's one space. And you know this because we talk about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
My new calling,
Mm-hmm.
I'll call it that. It feels bold to call it that, but that's what it feels like. My new calling is to actually create some kind of bigger center or retreat space where people can come together and explore from any and every angle this beautiful, invisible, mysterious part of our human nature that we call spirit.
Right.
And so that's my current life project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because so many of us are not in touch with that part of ourselves at all. And it's so far away from us in a way. And, these spaces that you and other people are creating are really allowing people to discover parts of themselves that they never knew was even alive in them, and also giving them tools to continue practicing these practices. I mean, not everyone's going to think like, oh, I need to get to know my soul, so I'm going to look up Jeff, but they might say like, oh, my business need help, or I need to learn how to wake up in the morning and get my kids off to school on time so that I can get to work on time, because that's the level where they're at. So you're going to a different level that that is pretty far away for a lot of people to get to. But
can I interrupt you?
Yes.
But even in those moments of saying, I need to get up and be able to get my kids off to school, or do something with my business, there's always something within that that is speaking to a part of the person that needs to be more clear, or that is making space for something more true to happen.
Okay, so can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So if we feel like something isn't quite right or isn't working in any part of our lives, it's because there's a part of ourselves that we're not honoring. There's something within ourselves that we're not honoring. And it may play out as frustration in a relationship, or feeling like I don't have time for this or that, or this isn't working. But when we start to look at things more closely, it somehow, so far from what I've understood, it always comes down to not honoring something in ourselves that we need to honor to make something happen fluidly.
Okay, I think I understand a little better. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you understand what you need, and you're able to get what you need to yourself, other things in your life might, flow better.
Yeah.
Flow more easy.
Yes.
Because you understand yourself better. So it's just another way of getting to know yourself.
Yes. This is what I need to honor who I am most deeply.
Right.
And if we go even more deep, to honor the part of me that is prior to the identity part that is before the sharp part, the Jeff part, the job part.
Right.
Once we realize, oh, there's a part of my deep self that I want to honor,
Yeah.
then we can see what's in the way. And then we can start to see the practical, concrete things that we can actually put in place to help us move things out of the way, or put things in place to help us bridge that gap and get to that part of ourself. And then things flow.
That's that's deep. That's like very deep. So can I ask you something?
Of course.
Okay. Can you give me an example of someone that you've worked with? I mean, obviously it's confidential and no names or anything like that, but is there an example that you can share that that person was able to go past the person that they are, other than yourself? Maybe some of the people, like, is...
So I had a feeling you were going to ask me this question.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And
because I'm trying to understand it myself.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
I get it. You'll be disappointed because I won't even think to anybody that I've worked with, because that would be an infringement on our confidentiality, even if I'm not using anybody's name.
Okay.
What's built into our co-created space is an agreement of complete and utter confidentiality.
Okay.
So I won't think about anybody else.
Right.
But let me see if I can think of a theoretical example.
Yeah. Just something so that people who are listening could, you know, if they've never thought about these things before, if maybe they're interested, then you know.
So let's see what comes out.
Yeah.
Let's say that somebody wants to feels frazzled. Hey, let me see if I can think. I'm going to use an example from my own life, because I think that makes most sense. Knowing that I had a habit for a long time of getting up in the morning and doing my morning routine, having my coffee and having my breakfast and maybe doing a small meditation. I knew at a certain point I realized that wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
And something felt off to me during the day. Because in the back of my mind, there was always a sense that you're not listening to yourself. What I needed was more time for myself in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to get up and rush into the day that I had been doing for the last 40 years. Mm-hmm. It had become such a habit that it just was normal. This is what I do. I get up early and I do this and I do that and I start my day. But it wasn't working, and I knew that. And so I needed to find a way to first identify why it wasn't working. Mm-hmm. And what I recognized was that the deep sense of peace that I sought in a meditation that came most naturally waking up, that's where I wanted to dwell, in that peaceful space. I wanted to be able to carry that with me. Why? And then I had to know what's available in that peaceful space that isn't available when I'm not there. Clarity, connection with myself. Okay, well, what do I have when I have connection with myself? Trusting that I can hear my voice. And what happens when I can hear my voice? I can act in the world that honors that voice. Ask for what I need, say no to what I don't want, and integrate all of that into my relationships. So what were the steps? I'm speaking very generally here.
Yeah.
I need to get up earlier. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's commit to getting up an hour earlier so that I have more time in the morning to do my practice.
Yeah.
And not go on my phone when I wake up. Commit to, even though the phone's there, do my morning practice, have my morning beverage, do my readings, my inspirational, spiritual, motivational readings, whatever you want to call them, that I know anchor me, start me in my day from the place that I need to be at. So if I was coaching myself, I would have helped myself recognize that something felt, there was a connection missing in my day, and that was making me feel off, and it wasn't leading to the right things happening during my day. So the coaching practice is about helping people identify what feels off,
right,
and what would be available to them, what would be possible if they had that thing that wasn't off anymore, and then finding a way to actually arrive there and imagining what that would feel like, really feeling it, and then committing to following the path toward it.
I'm really trying hard to understand like the difference between, like the difference in all the coaching. Like the purpose of your coaching is to help people get to their higher self. Like, is that a way to say it?
Yeah.
To get to sort of their higher self, or to be able to go deeper inside themselves for themselves.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, you asked a question before, or you said something before, which is interesting. Coming back to your idea of leading, I think it's relevant now, because part of my own training in coaching, I think let me loosely define two coaching practices. There's transactional coaching, which is about how to build your business, how to get more money, or whatever.
Yeah.
But then there's I don't know what the right term is, but I'm calling it, I'm going to call it coaching with spirit, because that's what I was trained in, essentially. And so the way for me to invite somebody into that space is to first create the space within myself first.
Right. And I've experienced that with you.
Okay. So that if I'm experiencing it, that again allows something to resonate or wake up in the person that I'm with, even if they're not aware of it.
Yeah.
But there's something that, because we're all human, we all have this, we're all made of the same stuff. Something resonates, and even if it's, as my teacher said, even if it's a homeopathic dose of self-awareness, that's enough.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden there's an opening, and when you feel into that opening, you just want to deepen it more and more.
So now I understand more than when we've done a couple of coaching sessions. I understand much more what it's about and what you're doing. Yeah. Wow. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
Can I say one more thing about that?
Please.
Because the beauty of all that, I know we're talking spirit and the depth, but the beauty of it is allowing all of this invisible stuff to actually play itself out in the real physical world of matter, where we are. And that's what the goal is to create those bridges so that we can create literally the world together.
Yeah, I'm happy you brought that up, because it's like, how do you bring all that into the real world? Right? I say like real world, but and so I think also, like, when someone is able to experience something like this, or get to another level within themselves, that person vibrates differently, and that person is like passing on that vibration and that energy to somebody else. And so, we're all lifting each other up in that way, and we're all holding space for each other in that way, and we're all leading each other in that way. So so I understand. So it's just like spreading that feeling, that knowing, that pursuing, that discovering, searching, Right.
Yeah. I keep saying that we're life living itself. And another way to think of it is that like we all know that we're mostly made of water. But when you really stop to think about it, like, we have the sense that, we're just these humans that are plopped here on this planet.
Right.
We're just plopped here on this planet, and we're all walking around. But truly, the stuff that makes up the earth is exactly the same stuff that makes us up.
Right.
And there is something that animates this stuff. And somehow, at the level of animation that we are at as human beings, we're able to have awareness of connecting to that animate force, to that intelligent, animate, organizing force.
Right.
That allows my heart to pump without me doing anything.
Right.
That allows our blood to flow through our veins without us doing anything. And create an intentional relationship between our mind and our physical stuff, which is Earth, thus participating. I don't think I've ever used "thus" like that in a sentence. Thus participating in creation,
right,
and helping things to evolve.
Right.
What a gift!
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot to understand.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot to take in. I hope you guys are okay out there. And so your life and the life you've led and the life that you're living, like, it's all brought you to this, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Which is why when you say about your cancer diagnosis, like, you're grateful for it in a way, because it brought you here, and you're loving this, and you're really feeling it and really living it.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're really finding yourself in it.
Yes.
Right.
And to say something back to that, at the very beginning, I was saying, when one gets a diagnosis of some illness or something terrible happens in their life, what comes back at us from the world is the conditioning of the culture that we're part of. It could come in the form of the stories that our families have, of the reactions of our families, of fear, of anger, of something in our tradition, of statistics specifically related to illness. And what I really want to say is that those are one story. We're taught one story of what's possible. But look a little bit outside the box that we've grown up in, and all of a sudden one discovers that there are other stories. There are ancient stories. We're just not taught to honor them as truth or to recognize them. But what we are taught to believe is just one story.
Right.
And know that there are other stories which are also true and which we can create.
Right. Yeah. Woo!
Yeah.
High five. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we're okay for now.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Who wants to see Jeff again? I do. Thanks.